everyone, and welcome back. Guess what? Your girl is live. Rest, live. Can you touch me? All right. But I'm doing something a little bit different this time. One, I'm hardly ever live. I'm always doing pre-recordings. And I'm always doing stuff to help people with their Algebra 1 foundation so they can, I don't know, get themselves ready for their upcoming years, or they're getting themselves ready for their GED or any of their any assessment that they really need to get onto. But this time, I just kind of want to try something to show that, yes, I am a real person. And yes, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. Hopefully no Freudian slips, but there's always soon. But for the most part, I just really wanted to get up here and just really tell people as the school year is officially closing. Finally, we decided on a closing date up here in Baltimore City. So today is like the last day that all my students had to turn all their grades in and get all their work done. And of course, like for me, I always make my deadline a lot earlier because I'm not waiting to the last minute to grade all of this foolishness. Like, no. But as we just kind of went through the year, it just feels weird because I'm not in the building. I'm in my slightly messy room in my house, which years ago, I would be like, yes, I could be in bed, I could relax, I could chill. But this feels weird, like I feel like I can't go out and tell my kids like, hey, where's your work? Where's this? Stop doing that. Stop touching that. Why are you licking that? Get your life together. Like all those things that I say every single solitary day. And remember, I teach high school. Yes. And when I said the licking thing, yeah, high school. Crazy. But it feels different this time because I'm doing it from my house. I was able to get everything done. The only thing, obviously, I won't be able to do is to get my classroom situated. But there was a couple of things that I wanted to kind of say. Why do I love teaching? Like, why am I doing these instructional videos? And before I can kind of get into that, I will love to thank all the people that have sent me comments. They said, this is superb. I don't see why you don't have enough subscribers. Why aren't people doing this? And I'm like, I'm trying, people. Like, I'm trying to put everything out there and try to make it fun and make it easy. So you get bada boom, bada bing, and then you're keeping it moving. But I'm trying. So again, if you know people, if you like what I normally do, which is, do step-by-step instruction, go ahead, tell somebody, pass it on. Hey, share the information. We need to share as much wealth as we can possible, especially in these days. But one of the things that I really and truly love about teaching is connecting with the students. I've been teaching now for 18 years, right? I look good for my age. And it just seems like every year is completely different. Like if you're sitting here thinking, oh, since I taught it this year, I can keep it and teach it exactly the same next year. I might put a little spice here, a little bit there. I'm basically done for the year. Yeah, no. The reason why I say that is because every kid is different. You can have, like, I at one point taught like 5 different kids, different grades, different ages, all in the same family. Every kid is different. Like they can grow up with the same mother and father, the whole 9 yards, known each other, went on vacations, did all this, did all that, but completely different. You have the one that's like, I want to know what we're going to be doing next. You have the one that's like, meh. And then you have the ones in the middle, like, okay, I'm going to do some work, or yeah, I don't feel like doing work, but okay, because you motivated me, blah, blah, blah. It's like every kid is different. And one of the other things I like to say is with the special ed kids, just because they have the same disabilities, because we're so quick with labeling and all that, it doesn't mean that they have the same abilities. So, yes, you have your lesson plans, and you were told to do lesson plans, full detailed lesson plans each and every single solitary day. But it's nice that you have that as a guide, but you're going to have to do some kind of changes because you're not going to have the same exact kids next year. You're not going to have the same abilities. You're not going to have the same interest. Like this year, I had a lot of gamers. Okay. That was my first time actually having a class full of gamers. Like that's all they want to do. And if they can do everything that has to do with anime, they're all about anime. They're all about gaming. Like that's what they'll talk about all the time. And it was new to me. Like I'm used to like having like a couple sports kids because I used to play professional basketball overseas, and I went to St. Joe's University. Go Hawks. Um, and I'm Big Five. I'm inducted into the Big Five Hall of Fame. I mean, like, I was okay. Like, I did what I needed to do. Some girls probably still have bruises from my screens. So that happened. But for the most part, like, I always had like some kind of athlete that I can talk to about football. I can talk to about sports, you know, and even like my girls, we can do like, we talk about basketball. We even talk about football and sometimes soccer. But this was the first year that I didn't have any athletes. None. Not one athlete. There were some that were like, yeah, I went jogging today. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But how about, you know, you watch the NBA? Do you watch this? And they're like, no. But I saw anime and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay. So I had to like basically change everything up. Like, I'm like, all right, do we have any skateboarders? They're like, okay, I got three. All right. At least I got something on skateboarding. But you have to adjust year after year. You know, just because you're teaching the same concept, like I could be teaching Algebra 1 this year, and then next year I'm still teaching Algebra 1, but it's a completely different class. There may be a lot of kids that are into fashion. There may be a lot of kids that's into engineering, a lot of kids that are into acting, you know, the whole drama, comedians. I know I always have a comedian in every class. Rappers and like perform, like people that just want to perform, and you're going to have to figure out their niche. And I like that. I like when kids come to me and they are multiple layers of them. You know, they're not just one dimensional, like I'm here in school, boom. I'm like, no, I need some personality, dude. Like blink or something. But just to try to figure out like each kid, because just as much as I'm trying to do each kid for almost like what, 100, 120 kids, sometimes 80, depending on what school I'm at, like just to try to figure that piece out. And then they're trying to figure you out. It's like a little game that's going on, especially the first 2 weeks of school. Because right around the second week of school, then all of a sudden you start seeing another layer of the kids because now they're like, oh, you're this type of teacher. So let me just chill back a little bit. Or they're like, I'm still trying to figure you out. So there's still that little bit of tension around that 2 week mark. So if you are a new teacher, one thing I would like to say, congratulations and welcome to the family. Okay? Because we need teachers. I mean, if this pandemic hasn't shook anything up to say, yeah, we need teachers, yes. We are people that are willing to put our lives aside for other people's kids. That's what's happening, right? Every time like you go shopping, what's one thing one thing that pops in my mind is like, oh, I wonder if I need to get more pencils for my kids. Oh, that's cute. That'd be cute for the classroom. I know, like, I have to think of an activity for that. And you're in the supermarket. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're sitting there looking at marshmallows. Like, we don't look at marshmallows anymore, like the same way. We don't. We look at marshmallows and thinking, I can do that with some spaghettis and I got a tower. Done. That's an activity. And then they can probably do like try to calculate the exponential growth, or maybe like, oh, after we have this for a while, let's measure the sugar. Everyone else sees it as marshmallows and spaghetti. We see it as something completely different, something to help build and help tie those information together. So it makes it exciting every day. And even though this year was cut short, we still did some learning. We still did like some processing. I still have my kids, because at the end of every year, I always ask my students, what can I do better? And a lot of my teacher friends are like, why are you asking them? I'm like, seriously, I want to know. I want to improve. Because guess what? As much as I have been making calls, making judgments, are we doing this? Are we doing that? Are we progressing here? Are we progressing there? I'm always taking information from them. But I want to know, can they give that information back? What can I do better? And it does. It takes, like, you're going to have to be like, all right, bring it. Let me see what you got. But if we don't make that adjustment, it's going to be hard. So I asked them these questions. I'm like, all right, what are some of the things that we can improve on? Since I got my phone. Yeah, don't laugh at my phone. I don't have an eye thing. The only eye I have is this one and this one. Okay. All right. I'm trying to do as best I can. So a couple of things that I did ask them was, what do you think about the school year, and what was your favorite moment? So a couple of the kids would say our favorite moment was when we did an activity, but sometimes, they put a little spin on things. So I'm going to try to keep it clean. I remember the activity that we did, that we got together and we talked about personal finance. I was like, yes. Of course, that happened like 3 weeks before we had to leave, because I've been doing a lot of stuff to get my students ready for the SATs. And it was just like SAT prep, SAT prep, SAT prep. And what I try to do is take half the class for SAT prep and the other half of the class, the time period, of course. Half the time is going to be for SAT prep. The other half the time was going to be for content, because they still had to build on that content. But there was like 3 weeks before we were closed, I just basically said, you know what? These kids are going to learn something from me, something that they can apply right here, right now. So I started to do financial aid. Sorry, this is what I would have been edited out. I would have done like a financial Fridays, like personal finance Fridays. So we've had discussions between needs and wants. That's huge. And a lot of kids will say, well, sometimes I feel like I need these pair of shoes. And I'm like, but can't you get shoes? Why do they have to be red bottoms? Like, you ain't got red bottom money. Like, okay, but you maybe got red bottom money. I'm not in your house. But everybody wants a certain brand of shoes. But I'm like, can't you get Mikey's? Can't you get Fikey's? Can't you get EI's? The back down version of Feli's. I mean, it's out there. You got shoes on your feet. Why do you feel like you have to go out and buy a $200, $300 pair of shoes just to walk around in? And I never understood the whole white shoes walking on the street. You're going to get them dirty. And then you get upset when they get dirty. What? Did we not just walk outside? Are you walking inside the house with the white shoes on? No, you walked outside. So they're going to get dirty. Okay, so I never understood that. We're going to let that one go. But because I basically said, you know what, let's look at needs, wants, and desires. Let's look at your long-term, short-term goals. Let's look at banks. Let's look at checking accounts. How many of you guys work? And a lot of hands are going up. How many of you guys that work and have a checking account? How do you cash your checks? Oh, I go to Walmart, or I go to the liquor store down the street, or I give it to my mom and she cashes it. And I'm like, if you're of age to work, you're of age to get a checking account. If you're of age to work, you should be able to get a checking account or a savings account. I'm sorry. You should be able to have money being automatically deposited into your accounts. So we had all these discussions. And the one huge thing, credit cards. And I'm thinking, as I'm sitting here talking about this, I'm really thinking about like developing maybe an online course for high school kids when it comes to personal finance. I know it's out there, but when I had a kid that says, oh, credit cards are free money, what? Definitely not. But when I have these conversations with kids, I mean, it really excites me because now we're actually talking. Like, I'm no longer Audrey Connor Gibson, the math teacher. I'm Audrey Connor Gibson, another human being on this earth. And I just love the fact that they come out with ideas. I love the fact that a couple of my students are already thinking about starting their own business. And I'm saying, why are you thinking about it? Do it. You know what you need to do. Do you have the product? Put it all together. Put it out there. See it. Go ahead and see it. Don't hold back. And one of my kids is doing a lip gloss. And I can't wait because these lips need something. Then there's another person that wants to be a photographer. And I've seen a couple of his stuff. These kids are awesome. These kids are awesome. And I know you're not going to see their awesomeness the first day of school. It's not going to happen. It's not. You're not even going to see it the first month of school because some of them you're going to be like, I really want to kill this kid. Like, this kid just drives me nuts. He's asking 60 million and two questions, and he always wants to just basically put me out there, and I can't stand it. That's what they're going to do. They're going to challenge you. Just as much as you're going to challenge them academically, they're going to challenge you. So you're just going to have to bob and weave. You're just going to have to get them hands ready. And then just be able to dance. You're not throwing any punches. You're just ready to block. You're blocking them. But as long as after a while, they're going to get tired of throwing the punches. And they're going to be like, whoa, this teacher's legit. I mean, to the point where I look on Facebook and I have a lot of my former students, they're going to become fathers. They're becoming mothers. Not like they just got out of high school. Like a lot of the kids that were my students like 10 years ago. And they're becoming fathers for the first time. Or they're becoming mothers for the first time. And they're working their jobs and they're really reaching out to all the stuff that they want. And sometimes not for the ego to jump ahead. Sometimes I always think like, if I wasn't in their life during that time, what would have happened? I went on live on Facebook about Monday, I think it was, when I was getting my tire fixed. We'll talk about that one. And just the fact that I ran into a couple of my former students and I couldn't hug them, and that was killing me, like absolutely killing me, because I couldn't like, hey, I was ready. I was like in the midst of the hug and I just couldn't. And it was just the weirdest thing. But then thinking about where their life was going, especially my one young man, like he was on that path of destruction. Like he was on that path of that gang life. He could have easily been another funeral that I had to attend, which I'm sick of this stuff. But he didn't. He chose another path and he's doing so well. And it was just like, sometimes I wonder, is it because I was there at that point in time? Or is it because he was in my life at that point in time? It's just weird how things happen. But there's going to be times when teaching, it just gets overwhelming. It's true. It's completely overwhelming. You don't know which end is which, and you're just like, all right, I don't know. And that's how you're going to feel. But I just want to let you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. Everyone that has ever experienced this, I don't want to call it a job because it's not. I don't want to even call it an occupation. It's not. It's a career. It's something that you invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, and hell, a lot of money just to become this person. You are basically sharing a lot of yourself, your experiences in that classroom. of 40 kids, which that'll probably change. But at the same time, you're prepping. You are looking at content. You're trying to have the kids see things a lot different than what they do. Take the blinders off. Oh, I don't like white people because they do blah, blah, blah. Open it up. Oh, well, I see that this person, he cool, or this person's not cool, and I don't like this type of person. I don't like this person. And then at the end of the year, you're going to see kids that normally don't sit with each other or talk with each other start having deep conversations. Especially when I have like my advisory, these kids be having some deep conversations. Why? What's the difference between like Spanish people and Mexicans? And then one Mexican kid would be like, what are you talking about? And they're literally having these full deep conversations. I'm like, wow. They're like, what does the Jewish faith really have to represent? And of course, my Jewish kid will stand up and be like, hey, this is what I do. Because a lot of people don't know. And they hate things that they don't understand. So instead of walking around in a fog, why don't you ask somebody what's going on? And guess what? That somebody might be you, especially if you're a teacher. They want to learn from you. They want to experience things from you. They want to see things in a different light. So it's just like how you go to the supermarket and you see the marshmallows and spaghetti, you're thinking, oh, I could make some s'mores and then we could do some kind of spaghetti, whatever. But we as teachers, we're looking at like, I can build a tower. I can time them on this. We can look at a necklace. We can try to build an atom. That's what we do. And it's so much fun when you see a kid light up and say, I think I get it. Like just the fact to say that I think I get it. And they raise their hand and say, hey, can I put it up on the board? Yes, go, do it now. Here, markers, go. And I do sometimes when I get super excited about when I see a kid that doesn't normally just always struggling, and finally gets something, do it. And then he or she is teaching the class. I give them that opportunity. I mean, there's going to be moments that you hate it. You hate doing the paperwork. You hate doing the lesson planning. You hate spending your own money on your kids. But when you see them progress, and sometimes you don't see the end product. That's the one thing that really I don't like about teaching. I wish I could see the end product. You know, all our hard work to get this kid to understand the multiplication table. I want to see them be able to apply it when they go into advanced math, or I want to see them apply it in a real world situation. Sometimes you don't get to see that until later when they come back and they say, thank you. That means a lot to me. If you can say thank you, that means so much. But in order for me to really reach out and just say, I love teaching, I want to be that video that a lot of people don't generally see. Because I see a lot of videos of why I quit teaching. I quit teaching after my first year. I quit teaching mid-year. I quit teaching a month ago. I quit teaching after the first day. I actually had a teacher do that. One day, straight out of college, got her in the classroom, she decorated a room, boom. It was the last period class that threw her for a loop, and she was like, yeah, everything's fine, yeah. And then the next day, we went to check up on her. Her classroom was completely empty, gone. I don't even know if she left teaching, but she left that school. And now we got to find another person to sub in. And then sometimes the subs, they don't really care because I'm a sub. Or some subs really care and they feel the same way. I feel disrespected, so they leave. But it's that fulfillment. It's that when you look in a kid's eyes, like when you look at a kid, you can still see the baby face. But then all of a sudden it's covered with hair. That's the girls. No, I'm just kidding. But for the most part, No matter how old a lot of my students are getting, they're getting older. I'm staying matured and seasoned. I still see the baby face. I still remember some of the conversations that we had, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking back then." I was like, "You were young, you weren't completely developed yet." But when you see that growth, and it just throws you, it really does. But it's so much fun. It's so much fun, and I'm not sure if I'm saying this because I have been out of the building for almost 3 months now. Um, but I just know that I love teaching. I love, getting lessons together, like doing activities and have the kids actually learn in a different way. I'm one of those teachers that likes to think outside the box, but it's very hard to think outside the box when sometimes you don't know where the box is. But if I know what my parameters are, I like to think outside of that. That's always been my way. And I also like to help other people see things, like taking those blinders off, seeing how great these kids are. Because if I hear another person tell me, "Oh my God, Audrey, how can you teach those kids in Baltimore City?" What do you mean? They're awesome. These kids are awesome. And it's not because, oh, we gave them opportunities and they need support. No, it's none of that. It's called we set the parameter. This is where we're at. I want you to either get here or go above it. Those are only two options. If you give those kids those options, you give them their rules, you give them their expectations, they're going to get to it. If you set those expectations low, they're going to go just to that expectation. But if you're like, yeah, this you can kind of go here, but I want you here. In my classroom, I want you here. And my thing is, I know you can do it. I know that you're great. I know that you have a passion. And I want you to put that passion, mix it in with a little content, and then we'll have our fresh little happy baby. Okay? But for the most part, I love having conversations with them. That's why I like teaching secondary. I love having these interesting conversations. And based on different backgrounds, based on different economic statures, it's almost like it doesn't matter because it's who they are, what they're bringing into my classroom. There are some that are transitioning, and I love them. And I love them not because they're transitioning and they're figuring out what their sexuality are. I love them because who they are. You're a cool ass kid. And I love that. You want to learn, you want to apply, you want to advance. You're not sure where you're going to go, but while I'm here, I'm going to have some fun and I'm going to do some work to it. That's why I love it. Love it. I love like getting as much support and love from the kids. But I love when they prove a lot of other people wrong. I love when they prove people wrong. It's just so great. I love when they go into a certain situation and they're just like, oh, because you can see it on their faces. And then when all of a sudden my kids start speaking and start presenting and showing bits and pieces of their greatness, and all of a sudden that face goes from, oh, to, oh, yes, you're listening. And they're like, oh, you did a great job with this kid. And I'm like, no, it's not even me. That's all him. That's all her. But that's where teachers, it's hard because we take it home. We take everything home. And just a whole, it's kind of like it's a feeling that you can't really describe, but it's always that feeling that we're always chasing after. It's weird. It's that weird drug that no one knows about, but everybody wants. But for the most part, I just love teaching because I love to help for others to see their greatness. So, as I'm going to go over here, it's coming up to like a half an hour. So, I'm not going to bore anybody anymore. But all I know is if you are a teacher, thank you and keep working. These kids need you. These parents need you. Your admin needs you. This world needs you. Without teachers, we wouldn't have the computers that we're right in front of. We wouldn't have the webcam design. We wouldn't have our cell phones. Don't laugh at my phone. We wouldn't have our printers. We wouldn't have electricity. We wouldn't have stories to share because that's what teaching is. We're constantly sharing stories. We're constantly sharing formulas, shortcuts. We're constantly sharing things to make things better. And I know it's hard because some of you guys are teachers and parents, and I gotta love you. But we as a society, as a global society, needs teachers. Okay? So we need you. I love you. And if you ever consider this, I am considering doing something that's going to help teachers to become the best part of themselves on a daily basis. So look out for that. Okay. And again, if you need any kind of tutoring help, hey, got to put that plug in there because, we all need some kind of assistance. Stop the torture, come with the tutoring. And I will be putting out another video considering I forgot to put Mondays out. Sorry, I know things got crazy. It got crazy, but I'm back. But I just really wanted to share that. So I will definitely be putting another instructional video out. I think I'm going to do that today. So I'm probably going to put it out on Saturday. And I might double up next week just to even things out. All right. So for my lovelies, I love teaching because I love you guys. And you guys are awesome. And I want you to show your greatness each and every time. So thank you. And I love you. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.